find to spend time in the Word? How do I navigate everything going on in this world? And my internships were canceled. My study abroad was canceled. I just had to go into my senior year with a lot of unknowns. And that was when the idea of LT came across my mind. Actually, a friend of mine in NLCF talked about going and ended up not going, but I didn't get that memo. And I was like, I'm going to go to leadership training. It's this fun month right after my senior year, 2 months in the Adirondacks. I cried after my first day that I was there. Broke down in the dining hall. Crystal remembers. Allie Southworth, for those of you who know her, she remembers because she was like, who's this freako weirdo girl? She's now my best friend. She was one of my bridesmaids. But LT is a challenging place to be at times because you are working 40 hours a week. You are expected to spend one of your days off with the LT program in Team Day. There are 2 nights a week that you're doing worship sessions, listening to sermons, and stuff like that. And so it was just a lot at first. But as the summer went on, probably like a week, 2 weeks in, I don't need this, I'm not using this at all. About a week or 2 weeks in, I started to kind of find my way of like, okay, I'm working in the kitchen, this is my schedule. I was washing dishes, that was part of the tears. I was washing dishes 40 hours a week, and then I had a different schedule every day. Crystal was my staff guide, was challenging me in all of these ways of how I was connecting with the Lord. And I didn't know anybody when I had first gone in, so I was also like working on, okay, who do I spend my time with outside of work? All the kids camp people seem to be really bonded together at this point. The dish room people don't speak English, so like we're not bonding super well initially. So about 2 weeks in, I was starting to navigate all of that. And I remember there being this time where I was like out on the porch doing my Bible study with God while I had gotten off work. The kids' camp workers were still out in the field because they were still on shift. And I was just spending time with the Lord. And he revealed like this really big monster in me. It just happened. This isn't like necessarily pertinent to the story, but it was about how I present myself to my coworkers and how I complain a lot and how I am somebody who likes to kind of vent about everything hard going on. And this guy that I work with who was too young to be part of LT that year, his name was Isaac. He comes across the porch and he's like, hey, I was like, Isaac, did you hear that like the dishwasher broke? Can you believe this? Our lives are going to be so much harder for the next couple days. He was just like, yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be great. It's all good. We've got this. And then he went on his merry way. And in that moment, I was like, gosh, I wish I could be a little bit more like him. And the Lord just like revealed to me in this really big way, like, this is a heart thing that I want you to work on for the rest of the summer. So that first summer I was at LT, that was like the big thing. And every time I heard a sermon or every time we sang a song, that was kind of what I was like seeing God revealing in me. Flash forward to 2 summers later, I think, maybe it was just the next summer. It was the next summer. I went back to LT this time as one of the staff members because I was a resident with NLCF at that point. And I got to help lead some people, be their staff guide, and just kind of see things from behind the scenes at the staff perspective. But it was still the same amazing experience, working, praising, all that stuff. And so flash forward to today, because I want to talk mostly about the impact that LT has had on my life. I work 40 hours a week. 5 of those hours have to be outside the regular 9 to 5 just because of how my job works. I've transitioned from collegiate to generations, very kind of different vibes. I'm married now, so I dedicate 1 day a week to making sure I spend time with my husband. This week, that is not going to happen. I try to spend time with my sister on Wednesdays because that's a relationship that I want to make sure doesn't go anywhere. I help lead OFAM on Tuesdays. I'm part of Guiding Working on Thursdays, which gives me Friday through Sunday to kind of do what I want. So I've got some free time in there, but I've also got a lot of friendships, especially with OFAM, that I want to keep strong. And so there's just a lot of things pulling me in a lot of different directions. At work, I don't work alongside all Christians. I work alongside people all across the political spectrum. Shout out to the sermon today about politics. I work with people who have been hurt by the church in many ways. I work with people who are part of different religions, and very similarly to the people I worked with in the dish room at LT. And so I have just started to see these parallels between my summers in between the years of college, because college is pretty routine. You get used to the 4 years while you're here. But one day, all of you are either going to drop out of college or graduate from college. I'm not going to say all of you are going to graduate, because if you drop out, that's fine. But one day you will not be in college anymore, and things are going to be different. You're not going to have people right away holding your hand and telling you this is where you go and this is what you're due. You're not going to have the same schedule week to week. You're going to have commitments. You're going to have a job, hopefully. You're going to have people in your life that you want to spend time with. And it's hard. Like, I can confidently say 25, couple of years out into the workforce, it's hard. But because of I literally think about this daily. I think about my time on the porch at LT. And I think about something that Crystal told me, which was, I love how you make time to spend time with God every single day, no matter what else is going on around you, no matter what the kids' camp workers are doing, no matter who's out on the lake kayaking, no matter how beautiful or terrible the weather is, you're always out here, you find time to go out to the porch and spend time with God. And I think about how important that is and how special that time in my life was at LT, because I did do that. I built that habit. And honestly, I don't spend time with the Lord every day right now. It is a busy season. It is hard some days to wake up early enough to spend time with him, knowing I'm not going to have time after work. But I can rest in the fact that he's always there waiting for me. I can always make time to spend time with him, and when I don't, he shows up in other ways. He shows up in conversations with people. He shows up with songs that come on the radio, because I still listen to the radio. He shows up in nature. He shows up in so many ways in my day-to-day, and I think back to my time at LT where that was true as well. And I think back to the foundations. I still think about sermons that we heard, speakers that came in. You get an awesome opportunity to hear from speakers that we bring into LT from around the country. And I still think about things that I heard from that are just foundational truths that I can rest in. And so LT is not just something that you do for the summer because you have nothing else to do, though that is part of why I went. But it's life-changing. It helps to shape the you inside that is connected to the Spirit, more so the you that's connected to the world, because we've always got that battle going on within us. But it just helped to solidify and shape who I am when I'm connected to the Spirit and when I'm connected to the Lord. And so I just want to encourage you that if you are interested in LT, if you have the option to do LT or something else and you're going back and forth between the two, there's definitely ways to not do LT, do something else over the summer and stay connected to the Lord and grow in your faith. It's absolutely possible, and I hope that you do if that's what you choose to do. No shame in not doing LT, but if you are interested in doing LT, it's just a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It's like summer camp all over again, except for way longer. Like, you know how you get to the end of a 1-week summer camp and you're like, dang, I wish it was longer. That's what this is. And then you still wish it was longer after the 2 months are up. But the nice thing is that it doesn't really end, because you carry all those things with you. You carry the relationships with you. You carry the teachings with you. You carry the habits. You carry the mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes while I was LT, but I learned from them. And so I would just encourage you to consider the long-lasting impact that a summer at leadership training could have on your life. And that's my snapshot.